As a teacher, the teacher-student connection is the most important part of my job. My name is Liz Daume, and I've been a teacher for 27 years. I've been in kindergarten for 25 years, same classroom, same school. Well, as someone who's taught a very long time, I started out teaching, really trying to hone into that individual learner and how they take on a new skill. Before COVID, the kindergarten classroom was center-based and small group-based and very hands-on and a lot of movement throughout the day. But when the pandemic hit, that all had to change. COVID changed everything for this school year. Well, when the pandemic hit, it was shock, loneliness, which turned into lack of freedom, made me feel anxious. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how. We're a family that likes to travel. I've got all my relatives live in the Midwest. We were stuck. I didn't feel like I could just get up and go somewhere. And you sort of had this fear all the time. And when COVID hit last spring, it was as if everything came to a halt. All of a sudden, we were told you need to go home, you're going to learn these programs, and you're going to be teaching on the computer. I wasn't seeing my students. We were communicating through email, which is really hard for these young learners and their families trying to navigate using computers at home. And after a few weeks of working with the kids, they were learning how to get on the computer to meet with me. I was learning how to get on to meet with everybody all at once. I realized that families were really scared and children were not leaving their homes. They weren't even going outside with their family members. They were staying inside. So I had to come up with a way to get them to do something safely that would enhance their learning and get them out of their homes. So I created a character, Detective Daume.
Boys and girls, Detective Daume here. We're here for our scavenger hunt for 3 letters, things that begin with one of these 3 letters.
And I would go on adventures with my son filming me the whole time and give the children something to look for on my adventures and a way that they could also do it. And the result was amazing. The kids were then making their own videos with their families and sending them to me and showing me what they've learned by watching the Detective Daume videos. And it turned into this whole thing, and it made it really fun. So figuring out ways to reach a child while in remote learning was the biggest challenge. I met one-on-one with a lot of students and really got to know their families better than I would if it was just a normal year. And I really feel like this year's class, I know all their siblings from being inside their homes, and they know a lot about me as well, because when we make the videos, we share a lot about ourselves. The transition from being full remote to teaching in person was very gradual. When we finally, in April, were able to go all in, the children were so excited that they do not take being in school for granted. Then they started coming in a few days a week, half the class, and the other days, the other half would come. And there were some families that still chose to be all remote, and they would stream in the classroom. In the classroom, there's things that I've enjoyed. There's a lot less behavioral issues with kids separate in their own spaces and having their own supplies. They take care of their own supplies a lot better than when it was communal. So there's things we can learn from this. We need a lot more brain breaks. We do a lot more mental health reflection. Even at this young of an age, we're still working really hard on getting kids to be able to monitor themselves and get help if they need it. I felt so hopeful. I knew that I could go back to seeing my friends and my family, and I could go back to seeing my students in person and actually be able to teach with them in the classroom. It was a great feeling of knowing that we could all get through this and that I could go back to life as I knew it. I feel more like myself now that we're allowed to participate in gathering together again. It's making me feel more whole. I hope next year that we have a lot of the things we didn't get to do this year, like field trips, a lot more hands-on activities, go back to center-based learning. Right now, I feel kindergarten is too data-driven. We give a lot of assessments, and it's hard for these young kids. They feel the pressure at a very young age to do well on a test. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with kids this young being stressed about tests when they're only 5. I really want to go back to focusing on teaching them how to explore, how to be learners, how to ask questions, how to be curious about something and take it even further, rather than worry about if they're going to get the answer right on the test. And I'm hoping after the pandemic and really focusing on students' mental health this year, that eventually we get back to play-based kindergarten. Teaching children how to be learners is what I'm here to do. Kindergarten creates a love of learning. If they're lifetime learners, they will be eager to be in school all the way through up to adulthood.